Hi, in today's video we're going to be solving quite a specific problem. So this is just a tutorial for those of you that have an Intel-based NAS that has onboard HDMI, so therefore it has a graphics card built in, but you're wanting to use an additional graphics card that you've added, perhaps through the PCIe slot. So if you want to use that graphics card with Plex specifically, we have to go through the procedures that I'm going to show you in this video. We get a lot of people requesting this, and we do have an accompanying PDF that we will put a link to in the bottom of the video description here. This is what I'm going to follow, so it's on screen here. These are the steps I'm going to be following. I won't keep it on screen for all of it. I'll actually do the steps so you can see it step by step. Now, if you set your NAS up a while ago, a couple of the steps can probably be forgotten about straight away. So if you do have your NAS set up from before we forced you to create a new username for the admin account, then you can just use the admin account. I'm set up here with the admin account, so what you'll have to do first of all is come into the users section of your control panel, and you've got to re-enable the admin account. You can do that in the edit account profile, and this disable this account box will be ticked, so you've got to use your other account to disable it, and you can then log into the other account. The default username and password for that other account is always the MAC address. So if I pull that in here on QFinder, the MAC address is what's written there. So it is case sensitive and you don't have to use the dashes. So that will be the default admin password of your NAS if you're one of the people that have set up your NAS after we disable the admin account automatically. So you must use the admin account for these next steps that I'll go through. So I've already done that. Something else you also have to do is enable SSH. So this is off by default, so you do have to come into the control panel and enable SSH to be able to do this. So the symptom we're trying to fix here is if you're using the extra GPU with hardware accelerated transcoding enabled in Plex, you often see in the resource monitor, so if I come down here to the resource monitor, go to system resource and graphics card, even while you're trying to do hardware transcoding, you might see that the usage is just 0% and 0%. So it doesn't look like the graphics card is being used for anything. And it's not. So when Plex first starts up, it auto detects your graphics card, and it will use the first graphics card that it finds in the driver list. And that's always going to be the onboard graphics card. So we're going to try and get around that by telling Plex to forcibly use another graphics card. There is no drop down in the user interface, unfortunately, so we do have to do it at the command line to make that work. So the very first step is going to be to SSH your NAS as the admin user. So I'll drag in an enlarged terminal window here on my Mac. If you're on Windows, you might want to use something else like PuTTY as a different option for doing SSH. But for me here, I'm going to use just the terminal window here. So one of the things you're going to need is the IP address for your NAS, so I can see it there in the address bar. So what we're going to do first of all is go SSH space, and I'm going to type admin because that's who I want to log in. So admin at, and then I'm going to do the IP address of where I want to log in. So that's the IP address of my NAS that I can see up there. The first time you first SSH, it might ask you a question. You just have to type the word yes to allow the login. So now you type in the password for your admin account, and you'll be greeted with this menu. Here it's just Q for quit because we want to go to the shell environment. Push enter, and are you sure you want to exit? Yes, enter. So that's going to bring us to a command prompt. We're now typing commands directly into the NAS. So this is QUTS Hero that I'm using here. So I'm just going to go cd space / to bring me to the root. So I'm at the root of the NAS, if you like. So I'm going to now run a find command to find out exactly where the Q package, the installation of Plex, is on the NAS. So I'm going to do find -name, and then I'm going to type Plex Media Server with the P, M, and S all in uppercase, and it's going to come back with a location. So there's the location that we need to go to. So you can copy that or you can type it if you want. So it's CD in my case. So I'm going to do /share /ZFS 530 data /.qpkg for Q package /Plex Media Server. So now I'm in that folder. So now we need to go into the library and Plex media folder. So we can see that there is a library folder on screen there. So that's the one we need to go to next. So CD library. It's all case sensitive here, and then there should be in here a Plex Media Server folder, which there is, which we can see there. So we're going to go into that folder next. So cd Plex Media Server. Now if I check what's in this folder here, I can see that there's a Preferences.XML, and this is the file that we need to edit to tell Plex that we want it to use the other GPU that's installed in this NAS. So first of all, we need to find out which GPU is which in the NAS. So generally when we go to find that, we're going to get a list of drivers for the NAS, and we're looking for the one that has render in it. Generally the lower number one, if you've got two GPUs, the lower number one will be your onboard, the higher number will be the PCIe one. So here to find out what that is, we do ls space -la /dev/dri, so device driver basically. And we can see here that we've got the two render options here. So we've got render D128 and render D129. So in my case, render D129 will be the PCIe one, the NVIDIA one that I've got installed. And because there is two, Plex will generally just go to the first one it finds. So that's why it won't show anything in the resource monitor when you're trying to do hardware transcoding. It will look like it's hardware transcoding in Plex, but it's using the onboard one. But you've told the QNAP that you want to use the other one, so the QNAP's only showing the NVIDIA one in the device driver list there for the system resource. So now what we need to do is edit that Preferences.XML. So on the NAS here we do VI, which is the editor, and we're going to type in Preferences.XML. I'm going to push enter, and that's going to open up the file to edit. So what we need to do is we need to add something at the very end of the file. So we can see at the very end of the file here there is a / with the sort of, I don't know the actual term of this, but it's the sort of open bracket sort of thing there, the close bracket. We need to put something right before that. So if I was to push the $ symbol, what that's going to do now is going to take me to the end of the file. So now I can browse through the file down to this point. I need to push I so that I can edit it. So now I'm in insert mode. We can see at the bottom of the screen it changed to insert. And so I'm going to put something in front of the / and the arrow symbol there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type in basically a piece of text that's going to force Plex to look at the correct GPU. So for this, what we're going to do is make sure there's a space after the metrics epoch equals 1 there. So we're going to do here instead hardware device path. It's all important to get the case right as well. I'm going to do equals, and then we're going to type in the path of that driver that we found earlier. So that was going to be /dev /dri /render D129. So that's the extra one that we need to add in. So we're going to close the quotes there on that. So that's basically what we need to add into that. So we need to bring that / back towards the end of that, and that's all you need to do to edit the file. So now we have to hit escape to come out of the edit mode. Once we've done that, we do :X, and what that's going to do is it's going to save the file. So you can see there it says Preferences.XML written. So that's now saved the file. So sometimes for it to work properly, you might have to stop and start Plex. You know, you can either do that through the App Center itself, or you can type /etc /init.d /plex.sh and stop, and that's going to stop Plex Media Server on the NAS. So it'll take a couple of seconds. Once it's stopped, you can open that back up. So just push up to type it, but change stop to start instead at the end, and that's going to start Plex Media Server back up. So sometimes it might need you to stop and start Plex to make it work. Again, you can go to the App Center and do that, and just click the drop down next to the app in the App Center, stop it, and then when it stops you can hit start that way as well. So by doing that, now if you were to go into Plex and do some hardware transcoding and go into your resource monitor and go across to the GPU, you would see that it's now got some usage happening on it. I don't have anything, so mine's still saying 0, but that's now telling Plex to use the GPU that you want it to use, not to just use the one it's auto-detected. Again, everything that we've typed there is going to be down below under the video, so you'll be able to copy and paste everything as needed instead of typing it out manually like I did there. So if you need to, you can refer to that PDF file. The process is pretty much exactly the same with QTS. It's just the path for where the Q package is will look slightly different. So if I pull the PDF in here, here it was, on my case, it was /share/ZFS530_data. ZFS is very specific to the QUTS Hero setup that I'm using here. So on a QTS operating system, it would look different. It might say something like /share/cache dev1 data. Then the .q package part would be rather similar after that. But every other step would be identical between the two. So hopefully you found that useful, and again, this is only really for anybody that's got an Intel-based QNAP that has an onboard GPU. So you can tell that if it's got HDMI ports on the back of the NAS. So an example of a NAS that would need this fix if you were adding a GPU would be the one I'm using here, which is the TVS-H1288X. If you had something else like the TS-H886 instead, which is an Intel-based NAS, but it does not have onboard GPU, so you don't need to do this, because the first GPU you add will be the only one in the list, so Plex will use it just fine. So again, this is just for the Intel-based units that have an onboard graphics card or GPU with the built-in HDMI ports, and you've added something else to do it. If you just want to use the onboard GPU for your Plex hardware transcoding, you don't need to do this part. Plex will auto-detect and work great. This is only if you've added the GPU separately. If anybody has any questions, please do let me know in the comments section down below. And once you've done this as well, I would recommend going back into the control panel and disabling the admin user after you've done this step. It's only needed for the admin. If you try to do all the SSH steps through the other account that's got admin privileges, it won't work in the same way. You'll get lots of errors and permissions aren't allowed, and you can't save files once edited. So it's important to make sure that you do it as the admin user. But once you're finished, go and disable that admin user so that it's no longer active on the NAS. Okay. Thanks a lot for watching. Again, any questions, do ask us in the comments section down below. Thanks a lot.